What's going on, everybody? It is such a pleasure to be with you once again. Playing games, cracking jokes, being with friends. As always, we are Occultists Anonymous, a group of nerds who like being creative and performative in the course of that creativity. As some of you know, those who've been following along, we are playing Numenera. We're using the Cipher system by Monte Games, and our ongoing campaign for the moment is Rising Helix. We'll remind you of where we are in a moment, because at the beginning of every episode, as is customary, we like to thank those who support us, including Roll20 and the generous patrons that we have. And so, I'd like to read off the names of those patrons. They are Adele, Ethan Alice the Man, Al, Alexander Williams, Alpha Wolf 2803, Alsrit, Bernie, Buck Gregory, Chris Handforth, Doc, Emil, George, I'm the Real 06, James Winfield, John Fitzgerald, Josh Drew, Camo, Cat Feathers, Klaus, Liturgical, Entomology, Long Live the Queen, Melissa, Michael, Milo V3, Moku, Mozart D minor, Other Guy, Perry, Food, Porter, Puppeteer, Riafio, Ryan, Sean Kelleher, Sheksara, Thomas Vogel, Toast, Tumultuous Trip on a Treacherous Tree, Vincent Hamilton, Vortex Falcon 00, What's a Circle? Why Gender when you can serve the Iron Pyramid? And Sultan Kamini. Thank you so much, everyone. And as a reminder, as some have taken advantage of, I and the others are happy to articulate any strings of assonant or consonant alliteration you desire. Sounds of sibilance, any sultry, dulcet tones you'd like to hear coming through the microphone and out of your speakers. Just let us know. Hey, we're here for it. Lots of puns, you know. We doing it, baby. We doing it live. You know what I'm saying? All right. So thanks, everyone. And so we're about to jump back into our campaign in the Ninth World. And I'm used to asking, would any of you like to remind us to where we are or where we were? But perhaps I should just take the opportunity to do that for you. And I'm happy to. So, in the last episode, you all spent 1 year helping the elves who were only able to sleep for 2 weeks once a year, with the aid of these particular ripening geodes. They are accompanied by interesting bird-shaped constructs, one of whom has a peculiar human-like personality as a consequence of speaking exclusively to a human for 100 years. Well, fortunately, in the course of that 1 year period, you were able to help restore their civilization and their knowledge of what procedure they were supposed to put in place to produce the colony that they were intended to create, that was interrupted by their traumatic experience in the ice screen. After creating a bunch of Numenera devices and restoring some of their memories, as Vet did, you all realized, and they told you that, oh, wait a minute, we're not going to be able to start the next step, which is the production of children, until someone has confirmed that Lon, the doctor and perhaps leader of the community, their partner, Hope, was located, or was confirmed that they are forever and not to be found again. So you embarked on a quest in search of Whalefall, which is 500 miles in diameter. You anticipated that with the help of an aerial drone that Faye was able to assemble, it would probably take only 8 months to do that. In the course of 5 months, you found some interesting information. You made your way to the center of Whalefall, so about 250 miles from the northern perimeter, into the center, and you were able to observe a translocation event. You learned Reuven informed you through their knowledge of the Numenera and some recent information that these translocation events must have some source of energy in order to remain stable. So you perceive that there's some beacon somewhere else, far away. You can determine precisely where, but that's what you learned. And then Reuven decided, why not? I'm an explorer. I'm an experienced traveler, as they said, out of the fables. And when this translocation event happens, I'm just going to, see what happens. I'm going to jump to the other side and see where this thing came from. And ended up, who knows, maybe 120,000 feet below the surface of an ocean or something. Just tremendous atmospheric pressure for a single Earth second, and realized, oh my God, I'm drowning. It's dark. This is terrible. Returned covered in silt, bone meal like silt, because that's a reverse instead of wet, and thought maybe that's a bad idea. I won't repeat that. You got some information by releasing a probe in there, but it wasn't very useful because it was hard to, on the fly, create something that could withstand the pressure of the environment. So you decided to continue proceeding south. You reached a point at which Vat and Reuven recognized that the constructs that harvest stuff from these technological bones are no longer around. The thick-lipped fishies and the jellyfish are nowhere to be seen, and there are heaps of bone meal. Well, you were exploring one of those heaps. Reuven had a probe, a 10-foot pole, and poked into and nearly pierced the giant eye of the decapitated head of a 15-foot tall lattimore, and then recognized from their rugged experience and insight that this is probably a site for a predator's ambush. And in the same moment, an enormous 6-legged alligator with jaws longer than the length of the rest of its body leapt at you and engaged you in a dramatic conflict. Faye was prudent enough to activate an energy shield. Vet snapped into action by trying to create a poison and needling the alligator, shooting a rocket into its mouth as it was attacking Blaze and Reuven. The alligator was able to snap both Blaze and Reuven in its jaws at once, preparing to get it into a grapple and certainly fatal death roll. It definitely would have killed you if it had locked this in, but it damaged you severely, but not enough to impair you. So Reuven, with their many powers, was able to get out. Blaze decided to stick around and try and impale the alligator, or impair the alligator, gripping its jaws mightily as it thrashed and tried to get Blaze to release. And then after that, Reuven appeared out of invisibility and punched the alligator right in its cloaca, rectum, whatever portal orifice it had in the past, resulting in a concussive flow of viscera and force out the end of its mouth, and it died with a disappointing wet gurgle.
Punched at the butt out of its face.
Yes, exactly, out of its face. And all this viscera splashed around Faye, but his prudently activated energy shield left him completely clean. And in that moment, you looked at each other and realized, well, there's still maybe 45 miles worth of distance until the southern perimeter. We've learned that this is an area where there's no harvesting happening. We haven't found hope yet, but we're optimistic because there's only a little more left to search, and perhaps we can now leave Whalefall finally and see what exists on the other side of the world. That's where we are.
Oh, actually, that does remind me, one of the last things I wanted to do, because I haven't had the opportunity. Can I make and use my always tinkering to create a random temperamental cipher? Can I do that while walking?
Yeah, you can.
Cool.
At this point in your life, you
just like flips a little shelf and just like working around while you're walking.
However, and so that I am better at this than I should have been in the past, there will be a difficulty associated with this depending upon what you're trying to do.
Well, in this particular case, I'm just talking about the temperamental cipher, where it's just the fiddle around for an hour, and then you get some random thing.
Totally, yes. Sounds good. I just meant
the crafty.
As you were using that in the past to try and create specific things,
Mhm.
you're just going to be better at implementing, for the sake of your own enjoyment, a challenging difficulty level to accomplish different things other than just what is random. But yes, absolutely, go right ahead.
Cool.
Implement it as you have been. So what are you doing? You're in front of this carcass of this alligator. There's viscera all over the place. It's enormous. You have many options in front of you.
And did you see where they said they couldn't hear you?
What?
In chat.
They said they couldn't hear me?
Can't hear Drew.
Oh, for Pete's sake.
Come on, Drew, baby boy.
I wasn't talking to you, chat.
It's not like I like you or anything.
No. All right. And to catch everybody up, I'm rolling a temperamental cipher. I rolled a 48. I have some living solvent.
Ooh, yeah.
That
You know what you
sounds
could use for that?
weird.
Canister
Yeah,
containing
right.
slime, which,
And unsettling.
once released, this organic slime dissolves 1 cubic foot of material each round. After 1 round per cipher level, the slime dies and becomes inert. So we're going to find out how many levels this thing has.
Roll it up.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say anything.
About the organic slime.
Please, you know I'm here for everything.
It
you
starts
say in
with the
this
word
regard,
forbidden.
Chris. Yes.
Whopping 5. So that's quite a bit of material I can chew through. That's
Mhm.
5 cubic feet. All right.
Yeah, so what are you going to do?
How do you keep it in the container, or do you turn it on and off?
I mean, ask the nano.
Questions like that, Craig.
It does say that it's
answers for them.
it does say that is living solvent, so I'm just going to say that I have it well trained.
Cool. Sounds good. Does it have a name?
Greg.
Greg? All right, sounds good. Greg the Living Solvent. Cool. I'm writing
And that's spelled Graig.
That's
Greg.
fantastic.
Greg.
I know I made one of my poisons. It lasts for an hour. I don't
Yes.
remember its stats.
Yeah. What poison does is changes the state of health, like from regular to debilitated to impaired, in addition to damage it causes.
Yeah, this
Um,
one doesn't do damage. It just hinders.
Yeah. So hindering. There we go. Yeah. So that would just, of course, make all actions 1 difficulty level higher. And last time we realized or remembered that poisons have a certain level, and that is the level of creatures they can affect. And above that, they by default don't affect it. But I think we need to adjust that, because otherwise, based on the challenges you're encountering, your poisons aren't going to work as well as I think would be fun for Vet. So,
Yeah, this one is only because I remember I put like all the points into it I could, and it still
Yeah.
was only like 6.
yeah, I think
So it didn't affect the
didn't affect the gator.
The
Well, it
thing,
would
yeah.
affect the gator at 6, but yeah, just you'd have to put a bunch of effort into it in order to get it higher. Yeah, so I think I have an idea for that. So just place mark that, and I will inform you of what that is. We'll discuss that, and make sure that it works out, because I think I want you. I want you to. I shouldn't say I think. I want you to have fun with poisons, and I think the default rules aren't going to work in this case. So, if that sounds good to you.
That's an episode title if I've ever heard one.
Ooh.
What
The
fun
default
poison?
Fun with
rules aren't going to work in
poisons.
this case. Oh, fun with poisons, perfect. Yes.
But yeah, for Faye, it's definitely this is now officially dangerous territory, because it's no longer just a bunch of jellyfish things. So,
Yep.
Keep it moving, but I think possibly use because the drone has been doing a lot of the scouting for us, if I remember correctly, and then we're just going to anything that looked out of the ordinary is what we were kind of stopping at.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
And
Cool.
so
we've been doing a lot of like
scouting ahead.
scouting ahead stuff,
Mhm.
scouting sideways to cover more ground and stuff.
Mhm.
I think Ruben is gonna try and sort of what's the word? Looking for a more scientific word than grok, but like try and understand how such an enormous predator
Yes.
can survive in like what the possible food chain could be here.
Yeah.
Because we have not
Precise.
been encountering many other creatures, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
That's right. Yes.
And there's like no plants or anything really.
That's right. Not within Wellfall. Yeah. What is it doing here? How did it get here? How does it
Right.
maintain itself? And one word that some people use in an ecological context is discern.
Yeah.
That's an option if you want it. So, Reuben, within a short time, like if you were to say, let's see, search in the immediate mile around this gator, you wouldn't find anything. And of course, it's big, so probably it's a big territory.
Mhm.
That would then, confirm a suspicion that perhaps its territory is commensurate with its physical size, which would suggest to Reuben that,
It's gigantic.
yes, this might be the edge of its territory.
Which
And-
does, I think, help me assuage fears of there being many more of them.
You would suspect that a creature like this, if there isn't a lot of food here, there's not going to be a lot of them. And if there are a lot in one place, it's got to be full of something else that they can eat.
Right.
So,
Okay. I think
Yeah.
Riven kind of relays a lot of that as they're like walking and talking, and it's kind of just this like almost like subroutine that they're thinking about while everything else is going on. Like, why is the big crocodile?
that makes sense.
And then it's like, okay, just I think I don't know that they would like recommend everyone to relax, but like I don't think we're gonna run into another one of these.
It makes
Or
the
if
city.
we are, then we're gonna like really have to figure out what the hell's going on here, because it doesn't make any sense.
Unless they have nests or an egg
Yeah.
clutch or something.
It makes the city boy feel much better. So thank you, Reuven.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Yvette, I don't know this. Like, what do you call it? Or you can do stuff with minds, right?
Something? What do you want?
Can you detect them? I've been thinking about ways that we might be able to speed up our search. But I don't know how far you can do that stuff you do.
The range isn't very far.
Okay.
I can read thoughts if I'm close to someone.
Okay. So it's not like you could do like a
Targeted
few
rather
miles.
than just like, yeah.
Yeah, it does need to be targeted. Earlier I was doing just sort of like a passive listening to the general murmur, but like if I'm actually looking for something, I need to know who I'm targeting.
Is that a Numenera thing, or does that come from you? I'm just curious.
It came from the box?
Okay.
Or the box unlocked it in me? Not sure.
Happy fun box, right?
That she left with a bunch of jacks.
That's what you do. It's the
They can have a
ultimate
great
trick.
time.
What could possibly go wrong?
It's the ultimate trick. It's what's done. Hey, I can read minds now. You want to check this out? Yes, absolutely. Give it to me. of course. You can.
Yes. And I love the idea that like one Jack gets superpowers, one Jack can read minds, the other one ends up in a Hellraiser episode.
Yep.
Yes. The Cenobites
like,
are looking.
Yeah.
That doesn't have any concept of this going badly because it didn't.
Hmm.
So yeah, just here.
Worked fine for me.
I think that's great. That is totally the Jack attitude.
Yes.
Worked
was
fine last time.
Work for
Yes.
me. I don't know what your problem is.
Yes. I love it.
Yeah, all of my abilities are short range.
So if it's helpful as reminders for maybe points of inspiration, right? Like you don't know where Hope might be. You know that, hey, Hope might be buried in bone meal. One of you acknowledged. So wait a minute. If Hope is in a state of hibernation or is not moving or something, and like somehow fell on the ground, their skin is alabaster. It's the color of bone. And the ground is covered in silt, and now you're in this place where there are heaps of bone meals. So, oh God, how do I find this person, right?
Oh, that's right. Like, and we haven't. I don't think we were checking bone meal piles and stuff as we were working our way through the grid, were we?
Well, those are
Well, you
more
did-
recent.
Okay.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah, the piles are new. So
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Actually, maybe that's what we do.
yeah, I think at this point we might just need to sort of fan out and poke.
Gently.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, rather than trying to search for, well, especially if they're up and moving, we're going to find them anyways. But
Yes,
if they're not,
That's right.
then, because, and the other thing to remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ralph, but we have some tag-alongs, some elf tag-alongs, yeah.
4.
Yep.
One for each of you. And no
So-
birds, of course.
So sure,
Everyone's
when did it
speech.
come?
Yeah. Shore, of course, wanted to come. Shore didn't realize, oh, wait a minute. And Reuven did the nice thing. Nice and also potentially burdensome thing. Being like, you're important to people. You're really important to Lon. You can't come, because if you die, then Lon also loses Hope. And if Hope can't be found, you might need to be Lon's counterpart in some ways. So you will be Hope. And then Shore opened his beak and then laid on the ground. I am Hope.
Damn, I said all that? That's good role playing, Chris.
It was great. You
It was good.
listened to it.
Yep.
It was real good. It
You broke this poor little bird.
Yep.
was awesome. Also, of course, I appreciate that it's coming from a place where Reuven understands what it's like to be apart and lose connection unexpectedly without realizing how important they are. So,
But yeah, I think at this point, that is the goal now, is a little bit more spread
Okay.
and start knocking over large piles, because
Okay.
it's the most likely thing if they were to fall unconscious and super hungry.
all right.
We need like a leaf blower.
Well,
Listen,
remember
I
what
am out
Reuven
here in the
did
middle
last
of
time?
nothing.
you remember what Reuven did last time?
It burns a lot of speed there, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I don't mean the gut punch or the butt punch that led to an explosion of viscera. I mean the initial efficient distribution of push of bone meal,
Mhm.
like the force of
Dispersal,
a
yeah.
Dragon Ball punch. I think you're using onslaught.
Mhm.
I think Reuven just said, let me just have a force blast and have all this bone meal fly all over the place.
Mhm.
But you can poke in there too. You can pull a D&D first edition move. Just
Oh,
check
it was
everything with a
10-foot pole. Yep.
Let's just keep finding horrible things under these piles.
Yeah, that sounds good. If you want, we can do that.
Real Binding of Isaac, shooting the poop so you can maybe find a coin in it. Sort of energy.
For those people who haven't played video games, and that sounds horrific, it's a video game, and it is also horrific.
Yeah. It's cute too, though.
For some definitions, it's cute.
Uh,
Damn.
Big error bar.
That was a deafening silence.
I mean, look, gotta be careful. in the ninth world. Maybe there's a Huggy Wuggy dimension.
But actually, it's not a bad idea, the 10-foot pole thing, and we do have a bunch of stuff laying about. So, yeah, crafting together some. Actually, it'd be perfect for this. Giant pizza paddles.
That would be, yeah.
Just,
also you could potentially use here. You could use some of the bones of the carcasses. Of these creatures.
And that's what I was thinking of making it out of.
Cool. Here,
Mhm.
Sounds good. Yeah, you could make everyone a 10-foot pole if you wanted.
Yep.
Yeah, I was looking through my inventory to see if I had anything that would work, and not yet.
No, she's been gone for years, right?
She's been gone for 100 years.
There's a primary reason why Faye thinks that if she's in the whale fall, she's most likely to be under one of these big mounds.
Yeah, that's, I think, a good assumption. But yeah, if she's in here, she's probably not awake.
It is a reasonable assumption.
Or alive?
That is also a possibility, but Faye is going with the hope that Hope is alive. Yeah.
So yeah, if you want me to tell you what the result of that is, I'm happy to. If the 8 of you fan out with 10-foot poles and you start poking the piles of bone meal that you see here and there, it would probably take you collectively about 2 weeks to get through all of this basically 50-mile diameter area. It's like a little bulge at the southern edge of this.
And we have rations to last so long.
Oh, yeah.
So.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you had
planned
rations
on.
for a year.
Mm-hmm.
You had plenty for a year. You were prepared for a year. You planned it out so that it would likely only take you 8 months. And you've been in here for 5.
Mhm.
So yeah, we're fine to take the time
Yeah.
to do this.
Yeah, you'll be okay. Getting across it doesn't take nearly as long as like carefully looking everywhere you can to try and find this person. The rate limiting step is finding them, of course. Like getting back across it, if you trip across it, isn't going to take you that long. People travel 500 miles hiking, Or if you're ultra marathoners, you run 250 miles in, a day and a half.
Nah.
No? All right, fair enough. So, in the course of those 2 weeks, you find these things. You find more Lattimore heads that are ripped up. They're all about the same size, which surprises you, because you do not know Lattimores to be that big. You find another alligator here and there, but you're prepared this time. So, they erupt, and when you poke into them, instead of the first one trying to ambush you, perhaps that one was a little more patient than the others, but you know how to deal with them collectively. Blaze grabs the mouth, and then Reuven punches them right in the butt. And it seems like
It worked the last
Attack
time.
pattern alpha, go!
Exactly. Yeah, you keep the mouth closed so you don't get snapped up, and then Reuven immediately comes out of invisibility and boom.
It ain't
force
much, but it's
coming in.
honest work.
Yeah, that's right.
Punching out.
Back into the crocodile.
Click.
lines.
Back in the croc mines. Yes. That's so good.
Faye only has that one use of the shield, so he's definitely like not in any vicinity.
And I mean, upon reconfiguring the poisons, Vet is able to actually aid through the poison use, not just the damage caused by shooting needles into it. But yeah, you're able to deal with the alligators once it happens. There's no guarantee that the outside of this context there will only be a single alligator you deal with, but up until this point, in the course of the 2 weeks, you were able to manage it quite well. So you also find a relic. You find, what's it look like? You find a piece of clothing. Hard to tell what specific garment is, but it reminds you of the texture and cut of Lon's garments. And
Okay.
you find a geode seed. And you find it very near the southern edge. So in the course of these 2 weeks, you're searching all these. You find stuff, you're coming up, what do we find here and there? More Lattimore heads. Where are the bodies? More alligators. And then finally, when you're getting towards the southern edge, you find some evidence to suggest that an elf has been here.
I was going to say, did the clothes look like they were current, like they had been worn and then were ripped off, or it was like they were set aside, fell, into a little heap?
It looks like a garment that was worn before and perhaps fell off of somebody in haste.
Yeah,
And
so,
it's in that position because it's covered in bone meal.
Right.
So,
so not like shredded as if it were ripped off, but just
yes,
run away and your, happy little cape just floats off. Okay.
that's a reasonable assumption.
Was the seed, did it look like it had been planted or like dropped?
It looks like it was dropped along with the clothing.
Well, I mean, between clothing
but it
plus
goes up.
seed, yeah, like we're on the right trail at this point now.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And of course, if you ask the 4 elves with you, they would confirm that that's familiar.
They remember. That's good. That's good.
Well, I mean, Vet helped them over the course of a year, so
Mhm.
yeah, it's
Oh, but for Faye, it's good job, guys. Like keep
Oh.
keep up the memory thing, because like we still haven't fixed you.
That's exactly right. Yeah. You have picked all the low-hanging fruit.
Right.
Which, of course, is major for a person's identity, even if they don't have everything back.
Yes, very important for the identity of these people that we have not named.
Well, you'll get names when it's relevant and important to you.
Yep.
So.
Okay. So we head
Out of the
south
whale
out
fall.
of- yeah.
Cool. Sounds good. Who's going first?
Unless somebody else got some opportunities, we'll probably go first.
All right. You emerge, and the first things that happens is you are slapped in the face with a moist leaf.
There's that like phase wall thing at the edge of the whale fall.
Yep.
So we couldn't see out of it. It was like
Yep.
a fog.
Yes,
Right.
like a fog. Yeah. It is opaque, so you can't see through it, but of course you can walk through it. And it seemed, contiguous and some kind of peculiar membrane, right? But yeah, you
So-
walk out into a. Go ahead.
So feeling about Blaze immediately drops from the battle stance and then realizes it's just a plant.
Yes, it's just a
And
plant.
then quickly drops the battle stance before anyone notices.
Hey,
And Blaze, you are in a thick jungle.
What's it smell
Scant
like?
sunlight coming through the canopy. It smells floral. You know what, actually? Here's something. It reminds you distinctly of the complex floral aromas that were in Hakon's estate.
Well,
Yeah, I remember
That's
what Blaze
interesting.
thought then.
That it was poison.
yeah, it was a mind control chemical.
Yes.
I cover mouth and lean back and I don't know, and then leans.
What?
Like Blaze stuck his head back to it so you guys could see him and said, "I don't know," and then went back with his mouth covered.
Faye, not knowing what is out there, covers his own mouth and goes, "What is it?" And like as soon as he smells it, the hand comes down. He's like, "This again."
It's just flowers.
It's like, okay, yeah, I remember this. It's been a year and change, but yeah.
Only smelled bone dust for like 5 months.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna say the first thing Faye does, it's like, okay, we're here, cool. Shoes come off, toes in grass.
Just gonna take a moment to shake all of the clothes to try to remove as much of the powder as possible.
Yeah.
Reuven immediately assesses the jungles have lots of things in them, and tells you to put your shoes back on before you get a parasite.
Worth the risk for 15 seconds. You can tell me I told you so later.
It is humid. It is a pleasant temperature. However, you can tell that if you exert yourself, it will become uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
The sunlight is faint and dappled here and there because of thick canopy overhead.
That's what I was going to ask. So it is like heavy rainforest?
Yes, it is a thick, heavy rainforest. Go ahead. Great.
Any signs of life, auditory or otherwise?
Yeah, you hear numerous sounds.
This is the first place we've been that had like ambient life.
Yes. Yes, it is. So
Which
you hear
in Blaze's mind means predator, so he's going to be on his guard.
You hear distant calls and response, as though there are animals communicating with each other. You hear rustling of vegetation off in the distance, things moving through. You hear this distinct sound of slithering undergrowth. And if any of you look down in your immediate vicinity, you notice that some of the ground-dwelling vines are more animate than you might expect.
Faye puts his shoes back on.
I just like that if you're taking your shoes off and then a vine like curling around your toes.
The cue Grant Imahara. Something just touched me.
Yeah, that's right.
I am holding my little bird.
Trash griffin.
Close because I don't.
Yeah.
I'm worried about it getting eaten by something.
Yeah,
it could be prey here. That's for sure. And predator. As you see isopod-like creatures moving around, you see some type of arthropods moving here and there. You see annelids. You see a riot of color off in the distance. Once your eyes adjust to the relative gloom here, which is different than the kind of like twilight you saw inside Whalefall.
Yeah, because Whalefall never had night. It was just the
That's
one.
Right. Yes, like a nightlight was on constantly in Whalefall through or gauze or something like that. But yeah, you're here. You hear sounds. You smell smells. You feel the air moving. There's moisture, and yeah, you see so many things.
Faye takes a moment and turns back to the elves and goes, "It is okay. These sounds are normal. This is what most of the world sounds like." Because between where they were at home and then Whalefall...
Yes. They look like they untense their shoulders and nod at you, for you to take the lead in instructing them how they can help.
The transition from Whalefall to the jungle was like the terrain contiguous?
Oh, I see what you mean.
Or is there a hard break? Like this was one, biodome geographical area, and this is completely different?
The feel of the ground is starkly different. Because Whalefall is as though this was teleported from another world, which Ruby was able to understand, right? And then just translocated without seamlessly meshing it with anything else. The elevation is the same, fortunately, right? There's no change there, but the ground in Whalefall was relatively smooth, as though it was laser level and just covered in bone meal, right? Like at the bottom of an ocean.
Mm-hmm.
And you come into the jungle, and all of a sudden there are roots and there are leaves and there's stuff to step on. So you've been stepping on completely solid ground, flat and regular, for 5 months. And now here it is irregular. There are knots, there are vines, there's all kinds of stuff.
Soft, squishy, alive soil.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
I want to just try to look for any sort of signs of that things have been here.
Oh, okay.
Even if it's just like animals in the vicinity, I want to find.
Cool.
Would
Like-
certainly be able to help with that.
Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. Please make a perception test.
Forget how
I'm
helping.
skilled in that. That
You
is
can give
what
someone
kind
an
of a check?
asset if you are at least trained in.
Yeah.
What is the difficulty?
The difficulty here would be 4.
Okay, I have trained and skilled, so that drops it to 2.
Yes.
You get an asset from me, so it's only a 1.
Yep.
Nailed it.
All right. That's what I'm talking about. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Cool. All right. This is what you see. You notice off in the distance, maybe like 100 feet away from you, because that's the farthest distance you can see in this particular area you're in. Looks like you're in a convenient clearing to of sorts, right? There aren't really any clearings in places like these, but you can see about 100 feet ahead, and there is a large piece of bark that's been either brushed or scratched off, moving away from you, which would be south based on your heading that you have been moving through Whalefall. You can see off to your right that some of the undergrowth has been trampled recently. And then off to your left, you can see a single, I don't want to say hoof, footprint in the soil. And you're welcome to go up and examine it more if you like. Any of these signs any of this spoor, you can take a closer look at.
I want to go look at the footprint and see, like, if I can sort of figure out roughly what sort of creature it belonged to.
Okay, cool. Sounds good. As you get closer, you look at it. It is about the span of probably 2 of your hands. You put them side by side. And it has just as many digits. Looks like this. 1 in the center, 4 on each side.
Yes, I have no idea what animal this is.
It's a jumping spider.
It has one too many legs.
Does it? Or is it just a big old fat face? Faye is very useful at animal identification.
How big is this print?
You said
Print is the size of 2 human hands.
Okay.
Like
you know,
a
those
foot
hands
across.
vary, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
So scary as
looks
fuck,
like-
big ass spider, but not a carry people away into the trees type of spider.
yeah, I mean, based on what you see, yeah, if it is a spider, right, and that's its whole body,
Yeah, that's not how spiders walk, though.
that's
obviously
true. Spiders
that's why
don't
it's a
walk like
jumping
that.
one.
Oh,
Maybe
so you
it's
think
splatted to
it
the ground.
splats fully in between tops?
Yeah. No.
Yes, Faye does. Let's be very clear on this. They're called jumping spiders. How else? That's obviously how they. Yeah.
I know this is
Am I?
kind of unknown
Sure.
territory and stuff, but we should probably get out of the smell.
Why?
It's the same flowers that they were using to mess with people back in the Arboretum or whatever.
What?
That was like a year ago. I can't believe you're still on this, Blaze. Wasn't
to be fair,
anything.
It was way more than a year ago.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Wasn't that? Hold on. I'm not saying this out loud in character. Wasn't that just something Blaze missed?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yep. Don't worry.
I'm sorry. What?
It's been 18 months since we've had to do this, but Faye puts an arm around Blaze and like, okay, we need to go over this again. While they're dealing with plant and animal identification, let me remind you, nobody else thought that was mind control.
I guess I want to ask the elves, if this print looks familiar, because this isn't an animal I know.
Mm-hmm. They have no idea what it is.
Cool. So we're all on the same page here.
I don't know, Reuven. You are the rugged animal person.
I don't
Voice
think,
cut
I don't
out.
think it's a jumping.
All right, good now.
I mean, yeah, but
But we can track if you want.
there's also whatever scraped the tree, and then what was the other one? Like disturbed
There's
underbrush.
Yes, that's right. Crushed undergrowth to the right. Some like bark scraped off to the directly south of you, and then to the left there was this print. I'd say if the chance that Reuven would know what this is based on the things that I know from Reuven, because you haven't, assuming that what Chris you've shared with me about Reuven is the basic nature of Reuven, I'd say there is a chance that Reuven knows what this is, but it would be
Sure.
difficulty 10.
Oh wow.
And of course, that isn't me like encouraging you necessarily to use tons of effort if you don't want to. Just saying there is a chance that Reuven would have heard of this somehow.
Yeah, I think
Now that I
Reuven
think
just
about
kind of like starts to think about what it is, and then it's like it doesn't matter what it is if we track it, and so that's what they'd be interested in.
Cool. That makes sense.
Because outside of the or I think more just like it pays more to be aware of larger creatures in the surrounding.
Yep.
And this is like sets of prints, or we just found one?
You found one. A single one.
Just in like a particular squishy spot.
Yes, that's right. Exactly. That's the impression you get. It left an impression like this of its depth and size because of the nature of the ground.
Cool. If it's possible to track it, then that's what I'd like to try and do.
I mean, well, you can try. Yeah, you can just like move through where it is and try and look around for it. I'd say, trying to track this particular creature is going to be easier than knowing what it was. But based on the circumstances, you could try and find additional signs of its presence with a difficulty 7 roll.
Okay.
Yep. And of course, knowledge of animals helps here,
Yeah.
as would a tracking skill if you have that instead.
Could also give you spyglass to help you look at things, if that would help.
Let's see here.
Depends on how
Based on the
jungle
distance,
is and stuff.
I don't think the spyglass would help here because you're not going to be able to look far enough such that your vision is impaired
okay.
by distance.
It's all up close.
Yeah, it's repeatedly been a good use, right? But I'm just like thinking about this, like if the magnification is going to help here. But yeah, it's mostly up close, so I feel like using binoculars to look at inside your room. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. All right. Reuven's rugged. Reuven's been around, notices things about animals. This is what you observe. This print there is deep and it's distinct. You start looking around, you notice off to the left, there are more signs of impressions like this in places. Some of the impressions are maybe leftover moisture. You see a faint impression on bark, like fibers removed from bark or pressed down on bark of the same shape here and there, stretching off. So it looks like something, whatever is responsible for this, made impressions like this moving off in the same direction. But only one of them you see in the course of this tracking attempt is in the ground.
Because it's a spider jumping from place to place.
That's consistent with what Reuven they have observed.
How high up was the... Go ahead.
Counterpoint could be a good frog.
That's what I'm talking about. Good buddy.
S- s-
Sprogman and Corton.
Sprog.
Oh God.
He has 8 legs.
I like
What
it.
it's called
I'm
from
with you.
soft.
Yeah, that's a little sprog, buddy.
Or a Frider.
Oh, I like Frider better. I like that a lot
That's
better.
very good.
But yes, also from software. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm really having a good time picturing this horrible creature in my brain. It's like spider body with 8 big squishy frog legs.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just wait till you see it.
Maybe those are its toes.
Has 8
Big
pointed
frog
toes.
Yep.
Oh,
No.
spider leg frog feet.
Meanwhile, poor Ralph was over here. It was supposed to be just this, but
It's supposed to be a bunny.
You never make anything until it's on screen.
Exactly. You know me.
and that applies to all of you at home.
Mhm.
Yep.
If your players are off and they're inventing this terrible monster, roll with it.
Mhm.
That's how you.
absolutely what you wrote in your notes. You're like, wow, guys, that's great.
Yep.
I must have really set those clues up really well.
This is how you get the dread gazebo.
That
That's
absolute
right.
horrifying thing you're imagining. Yes, it's that.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's that thing.
Or rather, it is now.
Yes. Mhm. It has become this.
Okay, so those are
That's-
moving like further off to the left.
Yes,
Mhm.
that's right.
So I don't think that this thing was what has been disturbing the undergrowth or ripping bark off
Mhm.
trees.
Yes.
Okay.
2 quick questions. How high
Yes.
up is the damage to the tree?
Cool. Different heights. So the one at the print is ground level, right?
Mhm.
Forgive me if that seems pedantic to reinforce that.
No, that's
Um,
good.
The ones on the rocks are maybe about the height of your knee, right? Because there are rocks and growth. Rocks aren't going up that high, right? You see stuff here and there, right? It's not like there are a lot of rocks in this jungle, but there are rocks here and there, right?
Mhm.
You see a print at head height, and you see a print about 10 feet high. Or at least that Reuven saw and pointed out to you all. So these markings are at varying heights.
So, second question: does the damage look incidental or intentional?
Ooh,
Like when a
gotcha.
bear is marking a tree with claws, it's definitely doing that. If it's just brushing by a tree on its way by,
That makes sense.
Okay.
It does not look like, well, one thing you would have noticed is these are impressions. These do not look like, you don't get the impression that whatever this is are claws that are scraping something.
Okay.
So it seems like perhaps the impressions are a result of something else, not like a bear is trying to gouge a tree, because they aren't gouges. So it's hard to tell if whatever this is just hitting things, or if the impressions are left as a consequence of this thing doing something else.
that's all I have.
Cool.
I mean, finding one 10 feet up. Maybe it's a frog.
Could be.
No. I don't want to paint that picture for anybody.
Well, actually, I was going to say that thing is doing its thing. Clearly not an elf.
Mhm.
But I realize also the bark is probably a more recent thing than, 100 years ago. If nothing else, figuring out what kind of things are in the ecosystem might at least be a start. Because, I mean, if we find some terrifying super predator, I don't have a lot of hope for hope.
Mhm.
I
But
feel like it's also just good for us being in here to have a general idea of what might be
Mhm.
around. So yeah, I want to go look at I guess the scraped off bark on the tree to see if there's like furs or fibers or anything caught in there.
Cool. It's a great idea. Yeah, you see some stuff. You see purple fur.
Okay.
And if you take a close look at the hair, it looks like it's purple at the root and it gradually turns to orange.
Isn't that the color of those giant fur boys?
Oh, the Lattimore. Yeah, hang on. I got a picture of them somewhere. Well, not somewhere. In Numenera.
Are the like Yeti things?
Mm-hmm.
I only saw the picture once, but that's what I was.
Yeah.
Yeti fungal symbionts.
Yep. And that's over in Discord. www.yetintu.space. In the Numenera chat.
That's what.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, actually, to not be too meta about it, does it match the fur that we found on the Lattimore heads?
Yes.
Remember, kids, don't metagame.
Great.
Okay, so possibly.
They have like civilization, right?
Yes. They are people.
Right. Sick. We would like to find
looking
people.
at their feeds now.
That's true. I didn't look.
Yeah, maybe they're acrobats. Getting flips and stuff. Bouncing off trees. They have basketball in the jungle. Dunking on fools.
That'd be kind of dope.
Oh yeah, these were huge ones though.
Mm-hmm.
They were giant. More than twice the size of average Lattimore height.
Which, if I remember correctly, were average human height.
7 feet tall.
Okay.
They're Yeti folks.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. But not.
Okay.
Anyway, I won't reference that absurd conspiracy theory.
Do we hunt? Well, do we stalk monster, or do we try to find people that might be able to help us find hope?
I think hope would be our focus.
Right. And finding allies. It's kind of phase thing.
Mm-hmm.
These people can be friendly?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I plainly, and because Ruben's not good at, talking, remember, etiquette and stuff like that. If she has survived, it is likely due to finding somewhere some people to survive with.
Mm-hmm.
That is an idea that had never occurred to Blaze. So works with that. Wow, man. That's great.
Just thought she might be out here alone?
I really thought that she was like dead.
I mean, that's also
It's a possibility.
likely.
Right, but there was no
We
way
all
in my
just have this
mind that
conversation in front of the other 4 elves.
Well,
They're
you
just
tried to be quiet so they don't.
I think
there was no way in my mind that I could reconcile somebody who would fall asleep, like just collapse eventually from lack of energy, and not being able to eat for 100 years, still being alive. But if she found another settlement, that makes sense. That's brilliant.
Do we know what these folks in our time, what their language was like, what they sound like?
Oh, gotcha.
I'm trying to think of how I would call one.
Depends upon the Lattimores. They communicate with people. Some of them know human language. So you would know that
Give it a
depending
shot.
upon where they are and who they are, that you could talk to them.
Okay.
Also, you know that Lattimores can use Numenera just like anybody else. So it's possible that they don't have a universal translator. They might have some means to enable them to communicate with someone whose language they don't know. But it's hard to tell, right? Or hard to anticipate. But you have known of those things in your experience. And especially as a well-traveled Jack, you know that there is always a means that you can try and communicate with people, even when it seems impossible.
Also, I have telepathy.
Exactly.
Which, yeah. I was more thinking of like a jungle sound that they might recognize.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, as opposed to, I mean, I guess we could just scream, but
Maybe.
Howler monkey scream.
There's a lot of sounds in this jungle. You're asking that because you're thinking that maybe they're trying to summon a Lattimore?
Yeah, I was thinking of like a call you would use for like calling a creature or something.
Gotcha. I don't think.
But if they just use like normal words, then yeah, I guess you could just yell.
Yeah.
Don't know that I want to do that in a jungle that may have that thing as a predator.
Yeah, I mean, we don't know what that thing is.
Until properly identified, it is a super predator.
Yeah, which is again is why I was trying to find like what their sound might be, as opposed to just us making a racket.
That makes sense. You got any ciphers that can help you with it?
I do not. I have smoke bomb, which could. I'm thinking of like a smoke signals.
Yeah.
You know, we also I think I was negligent in this regard during the break, but I intended to provide you with an opportunity to refresh your ciphers in the course of those 5 months, just like you did the first time you were in Whalefall, because there was so much, a material
Sort of stuff around, yeah.
that Faye could use to help you with that. So if anyone would like to shuffle or replenish your stock, you could. I just realized now that I forgot to tell you that.
Where's the list of them?
Let's see, what number?
I found it. It's chapter 17.
Yeah. And you just be rolling it up.
And those ones are a little more combat adventure oriented. So if you check in Destiny, there's also the list of some more exploratory or non-combat stuff. Like there's one called Far Speaker.
Does that do what we need it to?
For the next 10 minutes, the user can be heard at any distant location they can see, as long as that nothing physically blocks them. They can also hear sounds made in return.
Oh, it like projects to a far spot
and comes
Well,
back.
like those displays at science museums. Almost.
Yes.
The big parabolic.
Or back in... What was the name? Was that at Jack's?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. I couldn't
It was
remember.
at Jack's Haven. And
Yep.
then, where was the second place you saw it?
Yeah. The in the Mirthless Mines was
The Mirrored
Sepulchre.
The secret room.
Mirrored Sepulchre. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
But that's just a short distance across in the target location. But that's like in the location you can see, so it doesn't quite work for us. But my point is, there is some more utilitarian items in there.
Yeah.
Actually, considering the time, perhaps we go on a quick break.
That's a good idea. Yes,
Well, we
let's go on a
look at
quick
these
break
guys.
while you all think about that. And I'll elaborate after we're on the break. All right, everybody. Thanks a lot for watching. We'll be YouTube folks. We'll be you won't even notice this. Twitch folks will be back in a jiff. So you were all surveilling the spoor. So the grips realized, hey, maybe some Lattimore around. Thinking about how you're going to summon them. Realized looking through your ciphers, and you're like, all right, well, we might need to use some other means to find them. So right now, once again, leave it to you. What's going on?
I mean, I'm thinking we head for Lattimore's.
Yeah, but we gotta find him.
We have Fur and we have Reuben. Just put the two together, we find Lattimore's.
I love it.
I'm not
Fake
sure
treats
that's
the
how it
natural
works.
world
but-
like machines. It's great. We got stuff. Do it.
Yeah, so we've made the. I'm trying. We just had made the conclusion that there's probably a lot of Moors nearby.
And then we might be able to talk to them.
Right. Well, most civilizations are near a water feature.
Mm.
That's how we found the elves in the first place. So that is perhaps Ruben's thing. So if there's sort of a downhill that also follows where some of these markings and underbrush disturbances and stuff are going, then that is sort of the way they'd like to track and follow.
Sounds good.
I'll keep an eye out for like technological things and other, like Ruben's fairly well-rounded, well-rounded, as long as they don't have to like formally talk to people. So,
Speaking of technology, are you forgetting about a device that you were using before that was helping you?
Oh, we do have the
Scan
drone.
them.
Yeah, that's true.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's
Oh,
probably
actually-
a pretty good asset, huh?
I mean, if you want to use it.
All of a sudden, I just have the idea of Faye walking with one hand on Blaze's shoulder and just
Yes. Yes.
staring into it like a millennial.
Perfect. Perfect.
Yeah, because seeing down through the jungle, probably not great, but spotting, as Ash was talking about, smoke and other signs of civilization.
Mm-hmm.
I can help, Reuben! I have this very unique idea that I came up all by myself.
Great. Let's do it.
All right. Excellent. So, what do you do with that drone?
Whatever he tells me to. They tell me to.
I'm not trying to be pedantic. There are just things I want to reveal to you based on what choices you specifically make. You'll eventually be able to, of course. It's not like I'm trying to restrict anything. I just how the story progresses. So.
It's just a tool-assisted speedrun at this point.
Yes, I'm totally happy if Ruben thinks of that in character too. Like this is how
That's
it
true.
works.
Because Ruben runs fast.
Yes,
And now they have
exactly.
a tool helping them, so-
Yeah, video games and all that. That's
So
what I'm
that
saying.
was a multi-layered, terrible.
It's real good.
I got SGDQ on the brain because it's like 2 months early this year.
Ooh.
Yeah, so same pursuit of things to find, just also using the drone camera stuff, which I assume Faye has. We didn't actually go over what the like connection was, but I assume you've got some sort of camera that you see through it, and you're doing that whole like drone pilot racing VR goggles shit.
Yeah.
Never get to play Shadowrun, so I'm going to pretend to be a rigger.
Well, I will plug here, just mention for future reference, anybody. I made a Cypher System hack of Shadowrun, which is, I consider, pretty damn good.
Say,
So, I have play tested it. I like it a lot.
you definitely have Ash and I's attention, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying. It exists.
I do
Ash
like Shadow.
desperately needs to be a neon bisexual elf.
I want to be cyberpunk elf so bad.
That is a possibility. So, all right. If you send the drone up and start scanning, or if it makes more sense to just say the drone never came down after you exited from Whalefall and then you remembered, oh yeah, that drone is hella high up. Let's look at the drone feed. You would see this. You are indeed, your position is at the top of a gentle slope. Very gentle. The things you note are, there are some more clearing-like areas. However, it seems like perhaps what produced this clearing originally isn't there, because the drone is giving you views from rather high up of what seem like large onyx monoliths. The reason why I say onyx as opposed to obsidian is that it has a slightly different luster to it. And they are spaced probably every 5 or 10 miles throughout this jungle. The thing that is clear from the drone is that the the trees are perhaps taller than it seemed at first. Trees are about 250 feet tall. So this is either a place where the trees have been growing a very long time, or a place where the trees are intrinsically tall and they just recover. From Reuven's knowledge of succession, ecological succession, at least if not in the precise scientific sense, despite their experience as a nano, experience in jungles would suggest that this place has been around for some time. And then, at the bottom of this gentle slope, which the bottom of it is about 30 miles away, there is a very large lagoon. And it looks like, perhaps, there are things in that lagoon.
Usually water, but
I'm like, what sort of things?
Sewage, tailings.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's
All
a
kinds
giant.
of things. Lagoon is just a container for liquid.
Little poop logs.
Beasts.
Toilet paper, gross enough. Yep, that's right. It seems like there are big creatures in it.
Hmm.
Hard to tell at the distance exactly what they are because they seem obscured by the water. Perhaps
The
in
farmer had a lagoon for pig poop.
Ooh, yeah. There you go. What was that, Chris?
Maybe it's the crocodiles.
Not a reasonable conclusion.
but we do know how to deal with those.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, when it's one of them.
It's true.
You haven't tried it.
Full pack of them.
Dual wielding, so to speak.
That's right, exactly. We call that double fisting.
No, we don't.
No, we do not.
Yes, we
I
do.
specifically was not trying
Yes.
to use those words.
Well, I said it.
Okay,
'cause it needed
so-
to be said.
Ash. I want to point out,
Yeah.
Ash just tried to gain control of the stream.
It's I want to look at the like onyx monoliths.
Okay. Through the drone.
Well, how close are they?
So the drone, let's say, is about 1,000 feet up. It's been maintaining a pretty height. Also, it came down because it needed to be really high in order to be above the layer of the dome and whale fall. But it's about 1,000 feet above now. And the monoliths look like perhaps a crude representation of a Lattimore. From the height and the growth around it, it's hard to discern completely. The light is a little low, and again, it doesn't have the same luster or reflectivity of obsidian. So you know that you could probably discern the features more closely if the drone were somehow to get lower and get close to a monolith. You could instruct it to do that if you wanted.
Okay, that seems easier than trying to go physically find one.
Yeah, and the nearest one is 5 miles away, and they're like,
Okay.
scattered throughout the jungle every 5 or 10 miles or something like that. But yeah, you don't have to walk 5 miles. You could send the drone over, take a look.
Easily done.
Yeah. And when you do that, if you have the drone come and hover down, these monoliths are 200 feet tall, nearly the top of the trees. And they do look like Lattimores. Massive Lattimores.
When you say that they're kind of spaced out, is there a recognizable rhyme or reason? Like, say, one might mark out a territory, like a ring, or a border, or something like that? Or does it just seem literally interspersed throughout the jungle?
I think it's a little hard to tell. What we do in this situation, of course, is like perform a geospatial analysis using certain tools in order to detect if there's some consistency in their placement. I will say, just based on that view, it looks like their specific locations don't seem particularly regular where you are right now.
Right.
And the number you see doesn't suggest that they're marking out any kind of border, just that perhaps they're signifying an area. It might be important. So. And yeah, like I said, if you wanted to spend a lot of time with the drone going over and finding where all of them are, then you could probably, I would give you a roll at a certain difficulty in order to identify something.
No, I think
At first glance.
Yeah, and based off Chris's comment that Reuven is looking for water, I think the lagoon is step one.
Yeah, it's big. Like I said, it's 30 miles away.
Mhm.
And it's a gentle slope. It is not so gentle that it could only be perceived by a first edition Dungeons and Dragons dwarf, but it is not steep enough for it to prove a real challenge for you to navigate it.
So we want to attempt to
Head that
go
way?
to the thing.
Mhm.
Okay.
I am nervous about the things in the water.
For good reason.
We don't have to get like close, but that seems like a good direction to like start going, and then
Cool.
figure out more things from there.
Awesome.
Right?
And this is, an unfamiliar jungle. And, jungles have growth in them. There are no roads here. So this is going to take you a little while to travel through it. Fortunately, as you can tell, you were able to maintain a regular sleeping schedule as you were in Whalefall, regardless of the fact that the light was relatively dim. So you've emerged into the jungle in early morning. If you hoofed it and somehow were able to blaze a trail really quickly and everybody move as swiftly as Blaze or Reuben, and you might be able to travel to 30 miles in a day, but you're probably going to have to spend an evening in the jungle before you get to the wallow. Or the lagoon, is what I mean. So it's up to you how you want to plan the timing of when you arrive at the lagoon.
I don't have a particular preference myself.
Spending a night's fine to me.
Okay, coming at night. Okay, sounds good.
Or spending a night.
Oh, spending a night. Gotcha. Cool. Yeah, sounds
Yeah,
good.
I don't want to be hunted by something in a water at night. That's worst possible decision to make.
I support your caution.
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. So, once let's say you're able to travel about 20 miles and you get sweaty as you're doing it, or you could travel 15, and get there by the end of the day. Excuse me. Let's see. How do I want to ask this? Cool. How do you decide and where do you decide to camp?
I assess the plant life to make sure that we're not going to sleep on something
That moves.
well, I was going to say poison ivy, sort of. Not poison. I mean, yeah, poisonous is, I guess, what I'm.
But they do also move.
Right.
Yeah. Sure.
I was trying to think who would get in a tree. That seems safest. But I don't know.
Could be. Who knows? So you want to try and assess the plant life around?
Yeah.
Cool.
And plants and not sleeping directly on a fire ant place or whatever.
Yeah, that's a good
Sort
idea.
of generally
Cool.
checking out the area to find a
There is a cipher that makes a little safe house. I did
yeah.
not get it.
Eventually.
Just add water and air.
That's a good time. So you can recognize you're experienced enough as a survivalist to recognize the basic stuff. However, because you're unfamiliar with this jungle, if you want to be sure that you're away from any potential dangers, it would be a roll at difficulty 5.
Okay. Okay. Just 2 levels of effort.
Fantastic.
And
Cool.
18. All right.
Yeah.
Great job.
Good job, team.
Yes, you notice some signs of perhaps soil-dwelling creatures might present an issue, and you're able to avoid those. And you also notice some plants that remind you of some that exude sticky and potentially toxic sap when crushed.
Yeah, these are the things we don't want.
Exactly. So you're able to find a spot that is devoid of those things, and you have your choice of whether or not it is near a monolith or within the jungle itself.
Let's go with near a monolith.
Cool.
I don't
Fine.
know. That
Yeah.
seems
It's just
Mm-hmm.
it's
like more
exposed to
plot
the
will
sun.
happen next to it. So
That's what I was thinking too.
I think it also seems more cleared out near them, right?
Mhm. It is.
And then I like that better.
That makes sense to me. So when you get close to these monoliths, and you're on the ground level, not just looking from a drone, you notice that these monoliths seem to either be embedded in the ground, or no, let me say this differently. It seems that it is possible that there is more to the monoliths than what you see above the ground.
Some
Like
Easter
the
Islands
Moas.
heads.
Yes, the Moas in Easter Island, which are full statues rather than just the heads, just gotten buried by soil. So they might be taller than what it seems.
Any openings or markings?
On the monoliths? No, they seem like solid onyx.
It's at 250 feet tall-ish, but how?
200.
Okay,
The trees
so
the canopy's about 250, so like about 50 feet between the top of the monolith and the
Okay.
top of the canopy.
how big are they on the side?
Ooh, on a side. Okay.
And are they square?
Yeah, so they're about there's a cylindrical. There's a squat cylinder. But again, that could stretch a bit further beneath.
Mhm.
And that is 50 feet in diameter.
Yeah, Dave's gonna put a lean-to or something similar right up against that.
Seems good to me.
is it just stone, or is there some sort of Numenera-esque thing going on?
Ooh, all right. Please give me an understanding Numenera roll.
Yeah.
Difficulty 8.
Oh.
Can we reset all of our pools back to?
Yes. You had 2 weeks to search after the initial encounter with the alligator.
Oh.
All right. You get the vague impression that perhaps there's something having to do with these monoliths,
Right.
but their unfamiliarity suggests that you're going to need somebody to point it out to you so that you'll then remember what you studied.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're like, I should know something about these. These probably aren't just constructs of onyx, but am I just transposing that memory with another of large things that are also Numenera? I bet I would know for sure if I could talk to somebody who knows a little bit more about it. That's your thought. Like, I'm gonna figure this out. I just need to ask a question and narrow something down.
I feel like that's probably gonna like try to sleep on its foot
Ooh, okay.
to not be on the ground with the wiggly plants and such.
Yeah, sure.
So I can like get up on the base of it and just gonna
Mhm.
uncomfortably curl up and I have an explorer's pack. I guess probably have like a sleeping bag or something.
You have the means by which you can keep yourself comfortable here. Yeah, so you might need a boost from someone, or you can find a spot with like a branch or maybe a rock around the side to get on top. But they are about 7 feet above the ground. So,
Okay, yeah.
or at least the top of that cylinder that's exposed above the soil. It's about 7 feet up. But yeah, you can definitely get up there. It's not going to cause you a challenge or require a roll. Just letting you know what the dimensions are.
Yeah, I definitely like that better than sleeping on the ground out here.
That sounds good. Are you all having watches? Or are you all going to sleep?
With the 8 of us, I feel like it's easy.
Cool. Sounds good. Are you going to pair up, or is it going to be individual watches?
Question, team.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
They don't sleep.
That's true.
Unless you restored the senescence. But
I thought we
so
were
we're
waiting.
gonna wait.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're
Right.
waiting.
Hope gets back. Yep.
Are any of them disciples of mine?
They are disciples of yours, which is why they are a higher level than the others. Also, remember, the senescence, it influences their metabolism, and it has been 5 months since they last slept.
They're starting to slow down.
Yes.
But no, I feel like it would be very rude to be like, well, you guys can't sleep, so you four are just going to be on watch all night.
Yeah,
I feel like
That's what we
taking
call
turns
a
on
dick
watch
move.
is nice. Yeah.
But
It
also,
would probably be us and them for the
Mhm.
watches, right?
yeah,
I like
and
that.
everybody takes an hour, and which also means that for the 4 of them who can't sleep, there's folks to chat with and
Okay.
stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I will say this, worth knowing. Okay. NPCs, right? When they match up against other NPCs, if they are lower level, they always lose.
Yeah, I was thinking we'd probably do like 2-hour stints for each of us, one of us, and then those guys.
That sounds good. That makes sense.
Right.
I like that. The sound of that. Blaze's tutelage was able to get them to level 5. So
Not bad.
they're not
Good job,
they're
Blaze.
not chumps. Yeah. However, there's a level 6 creature coming around.
Right.
And somebody else isn't spotting it, they're not going to notice it. And something might happen. Who knows what will happen? Who knows?
I bet you do.
Maybe. I might know. Maybe. All
Nice.
right. So, I would like for someone, please, to roll a d4.
Sounds like Craig just volunteered.
All right. Awesome. One. All right. Who had first watch?
Legitimately, probably Faye, because he was like, I'm gonna do my watch and then I'm going to bed, and I don't have to have my sleep interrupted.
Alrighty. Faye, Drew, please make a perception roll. The difficulty here is 7.
Okay.
That's so many.
What is perception tied to?
Perception is tied to intellect. This likely will not be hard for you.
I don't have. Perception is not something that one inherently has as a skill the way we have initiative, right?
Yeah, no, it's a skill you have
no.
to have taken.
Well, initiative you can take. You can get
Right.
skilled in initiative just in the same way you can get skilled in perception.
Mhm.
So it exists as a skill, and you have to take it. Come on. Come on. I want you to succeed.
I'm double checking all my stuff.
Couldn't succeed with this.
Hmm?
Yeah, it'd be hard. It'd be real hard.
Yeah, okay, that's all I got.
Yes. Awesome. Alrighty. It's your first watch, or it is the first watch. The others have bedded down, waiting for their time to wake up or be awakened. Look out into the jungle. Did you have a fire at all? Is that happening? You all using glow globes?
Yeah, I was to say, Faye is not into fire, save for its practical use of making food, and he has the it's the upgraded glow globe, right? Yeah, the major glow globe.
Yep.
So not much use for shooting. Fires do not have much use for light for him.
Okay, great. Sounds good to me. So, despite the challenge of seeing, well, I'll say this: you're up, and you would notice this in these southern jungles, sitting around the monolith. You're looking up in that clearing, and although the trees block a view of a lot of the sky, what it looks like is that you're sitting at the bottom of a well, and the top of the well is a luminous blanket of stars. So, Faye has probably traveled around lots of places, so I'm not going to say that Faye has never seen a place without light pollution. If Faye has not seen a place without light pollution, this is incredible. This is so distinct, it probably gives you a slight pang of sadness because it reminds you of the intensity when you were within the Omphalos and you saw the stars in stark clarity. But it doesn't seem like there's some kind of weird feature, just that there isn't civilization. You're in a jungle at the southern part of the world and looking out at the sky. So there's starlight, which helps illuminate the surroundings, and you notice a distance away within the trees, something maybe 50 feet up on branches, and you see something shoot out from wherever that is and grab a sleeping monkey-like thing, and all you notice is the edge of what looks like 4 appendages of some kind hitting the bark, slapping it, and being retracted.
Still telling everyone it's a jumping spider. But it seems to strike and then disappear back into the jungle.
You see that at first, yep. Then you see that happen a little closer. And then at the very end of your watch, you see a similar shape right at the edge of the tree line.
Cool. Not feeling too spooked because I'm not a monkey up in a tree.
True.
But
how big were the monkeys, though?
They were gorilla-sized monkeys.
Yeah, like if it's eating like chimpanzees, that's something to worry about. If it's snatching like capuchins, that's less a problem for us.
And they deserve it.
Well,
I've seen that at the museum.
well, remember how big this is, right?
Right,
Mhm.
yeah.
It was grabbing things at the top of their body. Looks like it was grabbing their head. So, you can fit a child's head into adult hands. These monkeys are about 3 to 4 feet tall.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. If anybody needs to do their business, don't do it in the jungle. Go around the monument. Not quite spooked enough to wake everybody up, but Faye's definitely, whoever is next, will definitely share that information and mention it, and probably want to keep an eye out and don't go near the tree line. Because how close is the tree line to the monument? Because I realized we have actually discussed that.
We did. That's right. So the cylinder that's partially exposed above the soil is 50 feet in diameter.
Mm-hmm.
There's another 50-foot ring between a cylinder and a tree line.
Okay. Yeah.
It's not as large as the cordon of eliminated growth around a fort, right? It's done in the military.
Mm-hmm.
But it's big enough that it looks deliberate to keep the clearing either for safety's sake or for ceremonial sake.
Right.
And it also does look like it's somewhat maintained.
Mm-hmm.
So not as though someone's mowing it every week, but clearly there are no trees growing up here.
Right.
There's grass and some small low-lying shrubs and that kind of thing, but someone comes periodically to prevent stuff from coming, or there's some feature here that prevents trees from growing up around the monolith.
Yeah. I think for Faye, especially being city boy, is just like, that's a thing that's happening out there in the forest. I don't want anything to do with it, and I'm going to let everybody know. there's a thing over there. If you want to do something about it, you want to go investigate, that's fine. I'm going to go sleep now.
Cool.
In character, absolutely passing the buck. This is somebody else's problem. I'm going to sleep.
That's not my problem. I'm here. They're over there. Also, I'm not those things. Chumps. Going to sleep.
Nothing's grabbing me by my head and eating me.
Yeah,
Exactly.
just long as they stay over there, whatever.
Never
Food
thought
chain
leopards
and
would
whatnot.
Eat my face.
Yes.
I'm with it.
Yep.
Alrighty. Cool. So, nothing happens on any of the other watches. However, unless I shouldn't say that. Do any of you want to do something on your watches?
No, Ruben's a good lad at watch. Wouldn't get distracted by the big thing.
Okay.
Yeah, so please.
I'm tempted to try to lure one closer so I can see it, actually.
Ooh, okay.
Just take I don't even know if it would recognize our rations as food. But if I see them snatching, just sort of toss the way you'd toss a bread to a bird or something. See if I
Gotcha.
can get it to come into the clearing some.
I see what you mean.
Because I want to see what it is.
Yeah, totally. Think of a few ways to do this. It is, well, let's see. You first need to find one. Because, as Drew mentioned, either this one or the others were moving around.
Mhm.
So, if you want to perceive one, it would be a difficulty 7 perception test.
I will try that. And imagine on this I can use my little spyglass, right?
Yes, that will actually help with this, especially because you're on the monolith, which, at the center. If you're at the center, then it's 25 feet. Yeah,
Mhm.
it is a distance away, peering into the tree line, so that will actually help. Ooh, look at that.
That only cost
Look
me
at
2.
that. Look at that. All right, you spot one. And it seems like there is one watching everybody.
Huh.
And you notice slightly different features about it because you're looking with the spyglass. It has either a matte black color or something that makes it challenging for light to reveal its features truly. And it looks like a hunched form. Perhaps it is quadrupedal. It's a little hard to tell, but it is perched or hunched, sitting at 50 feet up in the tree line. And it has a head of some kind turned towards you. But you don't see any eyes on its face. Again, that's possible that it's squinting or something like that. And, it doesn't have a tapetum lucidum, so you don't see any reflection from the faint starlight.
I knew that one. I just want to say.
There you go. Yeah, love them cats. So it's you notice it there. So you notice where it is distinctly, especially because of the spyglass, and you know that it's sitting on a branch, between two branches, the crux.
And I can see that it is watching us.
Yes, it looks like it is turned towards you. The impression you get is that it is watching the camp.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a piece of a ration and toss it towards the tree.
Cool. So the tree from where you are is 75 feet away. Are you gonna walk up and get closer to it?
I'm not getting down off of my thing because I imagine
Okay.
I'll have trouble getting back up, so I'm just gonna pitch it as hard as I can.
Okay, gotcha. I think you could pitch it off of the monolith and it would probably land within that range. And you would see it kind of tense a little and look down at it. And then, or shift its head a little as though perhaps it was trying to perceive what that is. And then it looks back. Resumes watching the camp. Now it is watching you.
gonna eat part of my thing so it sees that it's food. Because
Okay.
I think this is intelligent.
Could be. So you eat part of the thing?
Mhm.
Gotcha. This is what happens. You eat part of the thing, that thing's there. You eat it and you watch it, and you're in this, I won't say standoff. You're not stare down. You're not in a stare down, right? You're just like watching each other. And then you see some kind of furred creature in the dark crawl out from the tree line, come up to the ration, and it grabs it, and then crawls back in and crawls up the same tree that creature's on. And you see the creature crawling on the other side, and then you see the furred creature with the ration get snatched, pulled up out of view. And you hear because you're paying attention to it now and watching it, you hear a squelching sound.
I don't like this thing. Just like, okay. So yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it and keeping my little griffin tucked well inside my coat.
Cool. I think that's a good idea. And then 20 minutes later, if you're looking over there again, you see it return to its crux and start watching the camera again.
Yep, okay. I would relay that to everyone else and it's like, I don't like it. We are being watched.
I mean, on the bright side, you've watched the Watcher, right?
Mhm. Keep an eye on them.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And you know something about it, so. You
Yeah, it
also
could be worse.
suspect What'd you say?
It could be worse. I mean, it's not
It
like
could be
it's
worse indeed.
looking in the eye as it devours the thing.
Also, considering how much time Vet has spent observing it through the spyglass, Vet believes that she could communicate enough information about how to find one in the dark that it would be easier for people to see them. So,
Okay.
yeah, it would be. Ooh, yes!
Baby
Oh,
cat.
great. Yep,
Kitty cat.
here we go. That's what I'm talking about. Podcast, folks. The cat was just put in the camera. Look at that Z. Look at that cute.
Incredible cat. We'll just let you do this.
Yep.
Just grab him.
Yeah, so I think you said that Blaze and Reuben aren't doing anything on their watches. Vet just had her watch, which
Yeah, I think
let's
Vet
say
was
is the last
last.
watch. What was it?
Yeah, I was gonna say Vet. I think Vet was last.
Cool.
Yeah.
Excellent. So Vet's last, and as the sun is coming up, as it tends to do in the southern jungles, you witness the light shine above in the clearing and down through the monoliths, and you see something incredible. It seems as though in the dark and from a distance, when the light isn't shining directly on these monoliths, that they are onyx or appear to be onyx. However, when the light is directly shining on top and down through the head of the monolith, you see these rivulets, or let's say cracks, like features within it that look like the fur, faintly the fur of the Lattimores. So when the light first hits one of these features, you see this distinct purple light that turns into orange. And so the monoliths have this internal glow for a very short time. Right in the morning when the sun is shining down on them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Craig is making such an intense face. I'm wondering if this is relevant to character or just Craig having a moment.
It's like I'm imagining like a test tube full of fur almost.
Yeah. That's a way to think of it. Or, let's see. When you shine a light through an irregular crystal growth.
And it shines from the inside because it's bouncing.
Mhm.
Exactly. Yep. And there's refraction happening within.
And I'm seeing Lattimore fur.
Yeah, I just meant because the color of the fur was purple to orange. So this
Oh,
doesn't
that-
look like
just
the
that color.
texture of
It's
the
not-
fur.
okay.
Yes,
Yeah,
the
like
color.
the structure of the crystal is
I had a
reflecting.
picture of like a giant Lattimore inside a.
Oh,
There's a-
trapped within.
That was freaking me out a little bit.
200
Okay.
feet tall and it's going to
Yeah,
break
yeah.
out. Yeah, no.
But yeah.
Like maybe are these eggs or?
Yeah.
Egg and he's trying to.
Now I understand, Craig.
Yeah.
So today we continue to the lagoon.
Yeah, sounds good to me.
I'm still not jazzed about going to the lagoon. I'm not in front.
Mhm. That makes sense.
It's all right. You and I
Sounds
are
good.
ranged anyways.
I am also keeping my head on a swivel for the
That
things in the trees.
That's a good idea.
Though actually, the fact that we saw it hunting basically from when I was on watch to when you were on watch, we can
Probably
assume
nocturnal.
nocturnal, unless of course it just doesn't sleep because it's that kind of super predator monster thing.
Maybe it went through the ice cream. No longer sleeps. No, but yeah, it's reasonable to assume that it's nocturnal, especially considering the fact that it's nearly impossible for, or rather, let me say it this way. For a normal person, it's impossible for them to see them up in the trees.
Right, because they're like
Be
Banta
black.
black fur,
Yeah,
basically.
exactly. Yeah, there's some effect on their body that renders it so that almost no light is reflected from their form.
They're very cool.
Yeah.
I would be interested to like,
To make friends with one, and yeah, we know.
or like to actually see one and just sort of figure out what's up with it. But
Yeah. what's
for
going
right
on with it?
now, it's a thing to be aware of.
It's made of carbon nanotubes.
It might be interesting to see what the hell's going on.
Vantifer.
Mm-hmm.
So
But for now,
okay,
lagoon.
We're excellent. So you all proceed through the day. Let's say you get there around midday, if that's fair. Maybe you stop for lunch, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
You're not there at night. You said you were planning, so you wouldn't be there at night, which is prudent. And there's no way you're going to be prevented from accomplishing that. And if you're using the drone to help you navigate to make sure you're on the right track, and you are, that's totally cool. So the drone would be able to confirm. Go ahead. Yes.
That is one thing I meant to ask. Are we seeing any kind of like game trails or pathways in the forest,
Cool.
jungle?
This is your second day traveling through the forest, so the passages through which creatures pass seem to be more clear to you, especially Ruben. You're all working together on this, so that helps. The brushed undergrowth or trampled undergrowth that you noticed in the first day when you first came into the jungle seems more apparent. You see some more of the brushed bark with the fur of the Lattimores that you recognize to be the case. Once you get towards the lagoon, you cross a threshold and you don't see any of the Lattimore fur within about a mile of the lagoon. But you do see some trails going here and there.
This is making me less enthused about the lagoon.
Yeah.
It's fine. We don't have to go swimming. And we may put eyes on it and go, nope, and leave. But until we get there,
I'm just imagining the thing from outside Moria.
Oh,
The
yeah.
Watcher.
I was just about to say,
Yeah.
Watcher.
disturb
That's
the
the
water.
one.
Yes.
Yeah. Or what's the name of that monster in the first episode of the Netflix Witcher adaptation?
I
Can't remember it. It's in the water.
that one wasn't a Selkie.
No, I don't think so.
Kikamore.
Okay, thank you. Yes. It was a good
But
one.
there's not one of those in this lagoon.
Let's hope there is.
We don't know yet.
Yep, that's right. Don't know. You don't know. So yeah, how close are you getting to the lagoon?
In sight.
Cool. Sounds good.
Mm-hmm. As if nothing else,
It's not-
we probably need to refill up on water.
It's a good idea. Yeah. And the water does not look particularly murky.
It
does
is.
look deep.
It does look like water.
It does look like water.
Like like a mercury or something.
No, it isn't. No, this isn't some weird ninth world alternative liquid. It is. It looks just like water.
Is there flow coming into this lagoon? Like a river or stream or something coming in? Any outflows that we can see?
Doesn't appear to be the case that there is surface level flow.
But if there's something coming in, that is probably filtering out somewhere.
Could be.
And you said it's not murky. Are we able to see the bottom?
What you can see is this. And this might concern you. When the drone flew over, you saw things moving in it. But it was hard to tell, water and the sunlight coming off of it. And it's hard to see, and polarization and things like that. You get close, you don't see any movement. But the water is so clear that you can see down 50 feet. And you notice, especially if you get close enough to look, you notice that there are what might be burrows in the sides of a rock. So, you thought this was a lagoon. This appears to be the top of... What's the word for not a filled sinkhole, but there are these geologic features that form in some jungles where it's... What'd you say?
Cenote.
That sounds right. Yes.
Gay Geist.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Mm-hmm. It is a cenote. Yes, that's right. Thank you. So, this is a cenote. So you get close and you notice that indeed it is perhaps limestone, perhaps of something of similar porosity, right? And erosibility. And there are holes in the side of it, down it. So, if you were to somehow try and measure the depth, you could, but you see down 50 feet enough, it's clear enough, and then it gets dark. And, it's also not a complete sheer-sided cylinder. There are some prominences that come out here and there. But, yeah, if you were to get close enough, you know that it definitely goes down past 50 feet. 50 feet is not the bottom.
How large are these holes?
Well, the holes look to be the smallest is 10 feet in diameter. And some are larger. And there are lots of ways to describe the way this appears. This might appear to someone as though those holes are burrows.
Considering you used that word earlier.
Don't like this.
Ash, they're just aquatic hobbits.
What was that, Chris? I didn't hear you. I'm sorry.
I said burrows is definitely how Ruben would interpret them, right?
Yeah, that's right. That makes sense. Yeah. Just
So
of course, impose that on Ruben. But
Is there a slope or is it fairly steep?
Depends. So the walls going down 50 feet, right,
Mhm.
are relatively sheer, and there are these burrows all over the place. But you see these prominences that come out here or there.
Mhm.
So there is a spot where you could walk your way down to 50 feet and it would be in the near center of the cenote.
Right, but the burrows are
You-
deeper than that.
The
So
burrows
can-
are higher than that as well, but
okay.
there are definitely some that are deeper.
So can we?
Or rather, you would assume that.
We can try noodling a burrow. So as interesting as the burrows are, and I think we probably want to investigate that. But is there any sign of settlement on the shores of the lagoon?
No, it seems. I'll say this. You see no untrampled vegetation on the shores of the lagoon.
Wait, untrampled?
Yeah, you see no untrampled. All of it is trampled, as though things come out of the lagoon and trample the undergrowth going in different directions.
And
I
a lot of
will
them
remind you-
into the
and
trees.
frequently.
Yes, going into the trees frequently enough for it to be trampled. And I will remind you, there's no lattimore fur within a mile of this lagoon.
Mhm.
I just want to
I think
remind.
it's time to go.
Yeah, it was just, we're looking for hope. As interesting as this weird little death trap of murder amphibians is, I don't think that hope will be in there.
Well, I was going to say, can we look around on the shore talking about all this trampled stuff? Do we see eight-legged, eight-fingered footprint
Oh,
type things?
any impressions like that?
Mhm.
In the trampled stuff? What do you see? You see.
While you're thinking, I just gotta say, I really like the idea of Blaze trying to noodle a 10-foot wide catfish.
I like that idea a
Yeah,
lot.
I mean, if you want to try to
Let me
pull
tell
out
you.
whatever lives in these things,
Yes. Yes, please.
I'll be prepared to shoot it.
All I
Oh,
was
right.
thinking is putting a rope around his ankle and tying it to a tree and saying, go for it.
Go ahead, buddy.
Would dangle him down there.
Yep.
Hold your breath. Go inside. See what you see.
Like lead bait.
Mhm.
Yep. Oh,
If you want
You
to
would-
do that, I would.
Ash is willing to sacrifice your character.
Mhm.
Sorry.
you could sacrifice an NPC. You know what'll happen then.
Yeah, no.
My
I would be
alignment will go
prepared to
down.
be backup for this terrible idea.
We do have other priorities.
Yeah, you wouldn't see. I'm like trying to think if there's any place where you would see those. You wouldn't see any of those prints.
I didn't
around
figure
the-
it. That's
that
Faye
area.
checking off that's not where these weird forest things live.
Are we sticking around? Or are we dipping away from the
I would like to leave.
Yeah.
Yes.
Reuben knows a dungeon they're not prepared for when they see one.
That's
We're gonna do the sensible thing and
Yeah.
leave. Much like the Lattimores.
Got to go farm.
Yes. I'm here for it.
Grind out a few
Wait
more
till you
levels and then come back.
Yep.
Yeah. Wait till you finish tier 6 and then come back and be like, I got all my power-ups, baby. Let's do it. Put 6 levels of effort into the butt punch.
The
Horrible.
specialization in fisting.
Yes.
Craig!
Horrible lagoon worms.
Yes. It's
It
fire
was right
fisting.
there. I had to
It
take
is
it.
right there. You had to do it. You didn't. It wasn't your fault.
Like with a pitcher throws a grapefruit right over the plate. Like you
Yeah.
just got to swing. You can't let it go.
Mm-mm-mm.
All right. You know what you call it when Reuben does that a lot to a bunch of alligators or enemies in sequence.
I don't
I'm not gonna like
think
this.
yeah.
We call it Fire Fistival.
Also a
Terrible.
disaster.
Uh,
Also a disaster. All right. So we
Exactly.
leave the lagoon.
Yeah, so you leave the lagoon, you move back. You're gonna wait until you're a mile away from it before you proceed further into the jungle, or are you
Yeah,
just
that
gonna
seems
scout the
pretty-
outskirts?
Yeah.
Okay. Cool.
you want to be out of range?
I
Yeah,
think that's
basically where we can see that the people have been.
The
That's
Lattimore.
where I would consider us safe again.
Mhm.
That makes sense. Support it. Cool. All right. What are your next steps? You're going to keep following the monoliths?
Yeah, can we track the Lattimore trace, basically?
Yeah, you can. You can start doing that if you want. Yeah. I'd say in order to do that, finding where they are. Reuven would have noticed this at a certain point as you're traveling through. The others of you might notice this as well, but Reuven, as the rugged nano, I think, would perceive this intuitively. It looks like you would find more of these tracks if they weren't concealing where they are going. So you see them often enough and you're like, oh, they're around. And then, wait a minute. If they were just inadvertently placed, why wouldn't I find it here? Why wouldn't I find it there?
Right.
Why am I not recognizing some consistency in where they're going?
So the tracks that we're seeing are kind of more accidental, or they have to leave a trail just because
Or
of
we
placement.
can see where they have covered themselves.
Yes. Yeah. So you can try and track the Lattimores. If just tracking them is what you want to do, that'd be difficulty 6.
I don't have any skills for tracking things.
Gotcha.
I mean, we could try to
Or track a Lattimore,
make a fire and make a signal
might be one way to do it.
and try to get them
Maybe
to find
cause-
us.
Cause a disturbance at the lagoon.
Yeah, because that was my thing. Is like, I don't know I want to signal anything. We got weird things in the tree, and then we got the lagoon people. I really don't want to just be sending out a to whom it may concern message.
Yeah, that's fair.
And the trees are
'Cause-
super tall.
And I do think the things in the trees, at least, they have some measure of intelligence, and I don't know that I want to.
Wait, I thought those were the same thing.
Mm-mm. No,
They're
the Lattimore are the Yeti folks.
No, I know that. I was
Yeah,
assuming
we
the tree
didn't
thing
see
is
any of
lagoon
the
thing.
weird,
It
any
could
of the
be.
weird prints near the thing.
You didn't see any of the weird prints, but you noticed this is what happened, right? Just to make sure I gave all the information. It's possible I missed out on something that's in my head, and so you are deriving a conclusion which is accurate based on what I've said, but not what I was thinking I said. So, Faye first observed one side of what looked like what would cause the print. Slap against a tree and grab the head of one of these monkey things.
Right.
Then Vet was watching and observed a creature around the same distance, at the same height, watching. Husk, Ult or something. Then a furred creature crawled down and grabbed the ration that Vet threw out, and that creature moved behind the tree. And then when that furred creature climbed up the tree, it got snatched. So it looked like it came from behind somehow and grabbed it. But you weren't able to see the appendages again. It just got grabbed. And so the I think, did I say 4 prints? Yeah, the 4 prints that you saw were first a print in the ground that was rather distinct. Then an impression on a rock, looks like moisture or something. Then 2 impressions on trees that look like brushed bark. And it could lead you to believe that those might have been the result of this creature trying to grab things and maybe missing or grabbing things and pressing into the ground.
Mhm.
So, with that said, around the perimeter, right, where all the trampled vegetation is, you didn't see any of those prints in the ground.
Mm.
So, I'm not saying that they are the same thing. I'm not saying that the creatures in the lagoon are the creatures in the trees. I'm just saying there isn't any information to necessarily say that they are or they aren't.
Okay, so we can kind of extrapolate that the print is whatever they used to hunt with.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And if they aren't snatching at things around the lake, then they wouldn't have been leaving prints.
Yes, exactly. Yes, that's exactly right. They could still be in the lagoon, they're just not snatching things there. Or they could be unrelated to the lagoon.
Right.
With the information you have, hard to tell. So it's reasonable if Reuven's like, until we know for sure that they're not the things sleeping in the lagoon, let's be careful. If somebody else is cavalier and is like, I don't want to worry about them because they're in a tree, that's also fair. Cool. All right. So I want to make sure I didn't leave anything out that I was operating under.
But yeah, do you want to try to
Yeah, it was difficulty 6. Did somebody roll and I just didn't pay attention?
No, I didn't.
I'm sorry if I missed it.
Oh.
No, we were kind of
Yeah, like
paused.
that'll probably be a Reuven roll because I don't have skills.
You said 6.
Affirmative.
Okay. Did it.
Yay!
Not even difficult.
Alrighty, so you are able to recognize that what they're doing is this. These Lattimore, as you're tracking them, they're leaving false signs, which is a common thing to do. However, it seems like what they're doing is, this is what you notice. When you're seeing these false signs, it seems that somehow this is a sign left on top of each other more than once. And then as you start looking around, you see maybe some pressed vegetation in the same spot. And it looks like what's happening is more than one creature is passing over the same area multiple times. Precisely where the others were.
Doing
Which
the
is
cat
unusual, right? What is it?
thing. Doing the cat thing.
However, in this case, unlike wild animals, where there's some variation, it's as though someone's leaving a footprint in the soil, and then somebody comes by with the same shoe, and they are able to put their foot in the same print the same way, and they press it deeper. So, you're able to appreciate that, and you're able to follow them. And cool looking time. Excellent. This will be great. So this takes you several hours walking away from the lagoon. And you get close to one of these monoliths. And at a certain, let's say, you are able to, no, actually I need to ask you questions and give you opportunities instead of declaring what happens. That wouldn't be fair. So, you're following the spoor and you recognize that you're headed towards one. And the drone, let's just say, let me ask, what are you doing with the drone as you're pursuing this trail?
I'll be honest, if we have a trail, Faye's probably using the drone to instead watch for weird forest tree grabby things, unless Reuven has another use for it. But if we have a trail that we're following, I don't think the drone is quite as useful.
Gotcha.
Especially with the dense jungle.
Mm-hmm.
That's fair. Basically using it to watch our backs.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Especially since I'm probably in the back.
So is the drone under the tree cover? Is it within? Or is the drone still above the canopy?
I'm thinking it's still above, but looking for, if there's this big giant tree thing, clambering around looking for disturbances and stuff like that.
It's going to be hard for it to see through the canopy. It's rather thick.
I was just thinking of if it's large enough.
Third-person camera.
Yeah, that's true. I could do that.
Oh.
I could do that.
Reuven explains this concept to you.
That's hilarious.
Faye is totally enamored. Oh, that's terrific, and just parks. And this drone now floats.
Because you're watching through its feed, so you just watch your own self, and that way nothing can sneak up on you.
Well, and let's be honest, it's Faye. He's got something plugged in, so he can look forward, and he can also look behind himself as this drone just kind of hovers next to his face, just pointed backwards, as he just pilots it in reverse.
I like that.
Yeah.
That works even better.
Fantastic. Were you saying something, Craig? Okay, go ahead, Chris.
I was going to say, I saw a YouTube video one time of people piloting drones with the full VR headset and trying to be
walk
a
and
third-person camera. It's fucking hilarious.
It doesn't work.
That's really funny.
It's the jankiest fucking N64 camera control.
Or the one I saw was folks wearing the goggles and having the top-down view to play soccer.
Oh no.
The very hesitant. Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
I'll find it again, post it in Discord. Sorry.
Fantastic. No worries. No worries at all. All right, so the drone is beneath the canopy. It's helping you watch your 6 as you're traveling through. Is that right? Great.
Mhm.
Following this trail. Check something. Let me make sure I'm telling you this correctly. All right, cool. Yes. So, it's getting dark as you're approaching, and you start faintly hearing the sounds of some type of activity. And Drew, please make a difficulty 6 perception test through the drone's camera.
Oh, I messed up. I reduced the wrong numbers. Okay. Oh wait, through the drone's camera? Would the drone count as an asset? As a tool?
No, it's what's allowing you to make this check.
Okay. Right. Was it 13 for you?
Great. 13 is great, which means I can give you the information I wanted to give you. Not that everything has to be the result of dice rolls, of course, right? I just wanted this to be the result, this particular roll. There are consequences to failing this. So, Drew, you recognize that there is something following you in the trees, and it seems reminiscent of what you saw the first night. However, this seems at least twice as large. And this is what you can perceive. You cannot perceive its precise location. However, you can perceive its relative distance. It is about 100 feet away from you, and it seems like it is keeping its way out of a sight line.
Does it appear to be getting closer, or is it maintaining distance?
It does appear that it's getting slightly closer. As you are getting closer along this trail, and the sound of perhaps the lattimores that you're pursuing is increasing in proximity, it seems that the creature that's pursuing you is getting closer to you. And you get the impression that perhaps at this pace, as you get wherever the sound is coming from and you find these lattimores, this creature is going to be close enough to be on top of you.
In the immortal words of Jeff Goldblum, must go faster.
Also, yeah, the ones night one were eating like 3 foot tall
Mhm.
apes. This was twice as big.
Yes,
Yeah,
at least twice as
it
big.
is now capable of eating face-sized things.
Yep.
Must go faster.
Yeah.
And that's where we end.
All right, sounds good. That's where we are. All right, we will end there and pick up next week. That's exciting. It's going to be an exciting start. Yes.
It'll be good. And yes,
All right.
in case anybody's wondering, we will be back next week, or
Oh, yeah.
else.
Absolutely. It's happening. Don't worry about that. I want to thank you all for your tremendous patience.
To the series of unfortunate events.
Mhm.
Yes, indeed. Series of particularly unfortunate events. It is a tremendous pleasure for all of us to play together and for you to watch us as we play and for you to support us. So we're quite excited to be resuming this and look forward to how Rising Helix continues. Once again, thank you to our Patreons for their generous support. Thank you to Roll20, and thank you to Monaco Games for creating a cipher system, which I am so fond of, and we are all having such fun with. So before I offer one last call to action, is there anything you all would like to say? Oh, yeah, sorry. There's other things that are important. Yes, if you want to join us on Discord, that's into.space. We have a vibrant community, lots of hilarious people, lots of things shared. You want to talk about animals that are less horrifying than something covered in Vanta black fur and some kind of weird spider-like capture?
Oh, now I want a
creature?
Vanta black puppy.
Oh my god, Atlanta black. Well, it would be great. All you see of its tongue. Oh my god.
No, it's a guy with a kitty cat.
Kitty cat.
Void.
would be great. That's
A
true.
proper void,
You-
yes.
Proper void.
Yeah, that's right. Proper void cat. That's hilarious. That's also great.
Curl up into a
Amazing.
little circle, be a perfect.
If you are interested and able to support us, you can do so at staylucky.club. And this is where we leave it for anything you all would like to say in parting. Okay. Well, thanks
Okay.
again, folks. See you next week. Stay curious.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.